Pale Blue Eye is the first Netflix movie of 2023, directed by Scott Cooper. The film is about Augustus Landor, played by Christian Bale, who is an American investigator who's brought in to investigate a British cadet death. The cadet presumably hung himself, and his heart was mysteriously cut out. So it's up to Landor, who was hired by both Captain Hitchcock, played by Simon McBurney, and Superintendent Thayer, played by Timothy Spall, to find out who is doing this and why they're doing this. To help out, Augustus Landor seeks a cadet who seems he knows what has happened, who is Cadet Edgar Allan Poe, played by Harry Melling. The film also stars Toby Jones, Lucy Boynton, Robert Duvall, and Gillian Anderson. The film is 2 hours and 10 minutes and is rated R. Welcome back to a brand new movie review here on Max Talk Movies. We're talking about The Pale Blue Eye on Netflix. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, movie rankings, and a box office breakdown show every week. So please subscribe, ring the bell if you're new to the channel. Comment down below if you have seen The Pale Blue Eye. Tell me if you like it, did you not like it? Were you into it? Were you not into it? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. If you have not seen this film, tell me, first of all, did you even know this film hit Netflix? And are you going to check this one out, or are you waiting for more buzz about it to then check it out? Please like the video, guys, a thumbs up button. That's how you support this channel. So if you're new to the channel here in 2023, welcome. If you're new to the channel, I usually do for movie reviews, I do positives, negatives, then I give you my score out of 5 stars and a percentage. So my expectations, though, coming into this film were I was definitely excited. A murder mystery in the 1800s with Christian Bale. Boom, you'll get me there, especially just with Christian Bale, who he is one of the best actors of the last 20 years, and he continues, and he's one of those actors who isn't just in 10 things every year to do it. He's very decisive with the projects that he chooses for the most part. So that's why I'm very interested when he's in a new movie, because you don't know how many movies you're going to see of him in a year. So always want to get Christian Bale, who is just, one of my favorites out there. So that was basically my expectation level. I knew nothing of the story, didn't know anything of the plot synopsis, didn't know anything. So that's what I knew coming in. So my positives, the negatives, and my scores. So first, my positives. The performances do carry this movie for me. And I'll get to the script problems when I get to the negatives, but the cast is so good, very well cast in these roles. And a lot of these actors make their characters a lot more interesting. Obviously, Bale is the lead character. He's the detective of this murder mystery, and he is definitely, for me, the most fascinating part of the movie, even more so than having Edgar Allan Poe in the film. Augustus is a very interesting detective. He has a very dark past that has led him into this moment. And there's a lot of things that you learn. Again, this is definitely a murder mystery. It's not a flashy, action-packed murder mystery. It's a very much slow build. And then you really are taking it through the eyes of Landor, who is American, going through this British cadet. And there's a lot of religious themes. There's a lot of loyalty themes, which I found was very interesting. A lot of different themes that I enjoyed, but it does come down to Augustus being a very interesting character, because if you weren't interested in the detective, the story, the other parts weren't as interesting. So I was definitely fascinated in Landor. And again, Christian Bale's never been bad, I think, in a movie. He's always really good. And he is very well cast in this movie. Because this movie does need that kind of star power, that pop charisma, even though it's a very grounded, not charismatic character. Bale brings that to the role, and it really elevates this movie as well. Harry Melling, I'll just put this in the positives. He's an actor who I haven't been a huge fan of, even since the Harry Potter films. He's a very by the performance actor for me. Sometimes I like him, sometimes his performances are too much for me. And this time it was kind of a mixture of both. There were aspects, I think the last 30 minutes, he was fantastic in this movie. But there were aspects in the first 2 acts where he was just very mixed to me. But when he had to deliver in the last 25 minutes of the movie, he absolutely delivered. Again, this cast is awesome. Toby Jones is really good in this movie. Really great to see Lucy Boynton, who I'm definitely a big fan of, and she just isn't in that many films, so it's good to see her pop in this film. And her character I have found was the most fascinating part of the second half of the movie. Trying to understand what's actually going on with her character. But Gillian Anderson's also very entertaining in her very small role, as well as Robert Duvall, Simon McBurney, all these guys, Timothy Spall. This is a very well cast movie. As well as the cast, it's a very well made movie. The production design, the cinematography, it is very, very well made. And it elevates this movie from what it is. Being in the 1800s, you just get sucked right into the 1800s right away. You're not even thinking about anything. You're just sucked into the world because of the production design, because of the cinematography, because of the direction from Scott Cooper, a director who I know a lot of people, Black Mass, Hostiles, Antlers. I don't love Scott Cooper, but he definitely makes well-made films, and this adds to that. And for me, I got sucked into the last 25 minutes of the movie. As I said, not just was Harry Melling fantastic, but the movie was at its strength in the third act, which is all that matters, I guess, for the overall story point of view. But when you get to uncover things that people were hinting at, it's a murder mystery, and you definitely need to pay attention to dialogue that is thrown into the mix to make you think on who possibly is doing these things. When you get to those last 25 minutes, the movie brought me right back in. And I'll tell you about why it didn't keep me that way for the whole film, but it brought me back in. And I just thought 25 minutes is exactly what this movie should have been. But let's get into my negatives here. Is that for me is that because I like slow builds, but the thing that this movie definitely was missing, not from a pace point of view, just from a story point of view, was momentum. I found like in murder mysteries, you kind of need momentum to keep you interested throughout the entire film, that we're progressing in the story. But you can even feel when something is uncovered, and this should be the end of the movie, that you know that it's not the end of the movie. You know, there's a whole other thing you have to uncover. And for me, I love slow builds. I actually really love slow movies, slow builds that take its time. It's very focused on dialogue, and this movie definitely does that. But for these slow build movies, they both need momentum progressing the story, and you need an interesting story to keep you not being bored. And for me, especially in the second act of this movie, I was very much bored looking at the clock. It just wasn't capturing me really until the last 25 minutes of the movie. I was interested in the mystery. I wanted to know what happens. And the last 5 minutes really sucked me back in. But as I said, I was very mixed on the Edgar Allan Poe character and performance. And the mystery itself wasn't as interesting as I think the movie thinks it is. So when there's scenes going on that I'm not interested in, the film can be boring. And I don't really love saying that with the movie, but there are definitely aspects of this movie that are quite boring, because the movie is definitely long. And I think that's the missing piece of this movie, that it's just missing any momentum. In a murder mystery, you need momentum to keep you going. And it was just a bit too slow, and that's why the pacing was a bit off, because there are points where you felt like the movie was just kicking into high gear, and the movie completely slows to a halt. And I think the movie desperately needed a bit of energy to keep it going. I don't think if it's a movie in the 1800s, it had to be drab and bleak, depressing, slow. I think this movie at one point needed to really kick into high gear, and it still felt for me a bit too. So for me, the pacing of this movie needed to be fixed, because that was probably my biggest issue with the film, was the storytelling, obviously, but the pacing of the movie just needed fixing from a structure point of view. So overall with this movie, I love the cast. I love Christian Bale. The performance was good, and I really love the last 25 minutes of this movie. But it didn't really keep me locked in all the way through. The murder mystery did keep me interested just enough. I'm going to give this film a 3 out of 5 stars, a 60% for The Pale Blue Eye on Netflix. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, ring the bell. If you agree with me, disagree with me in the comment section down below, like the video. More videos this week, including a box office breakdown show today. Last week, I did my first review of 2023 of the new film Megan. Box office breakdown show today, then followed by a Bad Batch review on Wednesday. More videos to come soon. See you guys.